Alright, let's be honest. If you clicked on this video, it's probably because you're looking for an answer to one of the following 3 questions. Number 1, why am I so darn good looking? Number 2, why is the best trader that Wall Street has ever seen, aka Nancy Pelosi, well, why are her panties in such a bunch? And number 3, what in the world happened with the stock market today? Those are the 3 main questions that we will be answering in this video. But before we get to all the fun stuff, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and leave a comment below, even if you want to say hi, because all that stuff really does help out with the algorithm overlords that run my life. And on that note, let's get to those answers. So number 1, how am I so darn good looking? The answer is Dawn Disho. My reasoning, if it's good enough for little ducklings, it's good enough for me. Question number 2, why is the best trader in Wall Street, aka Nancy Pelosi, why is she pretty upset? Here's what she had to say.
Hear what they're saying. It's all unserious and ridiculous. In fact, I've listened to their shit, and I tell them to go f themselves. So that's the... I can't believe I use that word.
Me either, honey. Wash that potty mouth out. I guess I should apologize to any of you watching this with kids in the room. I didn't know that a politician would have such foul language, but she's pretty upset at the impending government shutdown. Unless you've been living under a rock, not paying attention to the news, and first of all, I'm jealous, at midnight tonight, as we go from September to October, for those of you who believe in the Gregorian calendar, the US government will be shutting down. Trump says government shutdown, likely as no last-minute deal emerges. Funding will lapse at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday, October the 1st, unless Congress passes a stopgap spending bill. So with that in mind, and the fact that the world's best trader ever is pretty upset, you're probably assuming that the market doesn't look so good at this moment. And in reality, it's the exact opposite. Actually, the market looks really bullish. Here's the S&P 500, higher highs, higher lows, strong momentum. And in fact, we are now how far away from an all-time high? 0.19%. And the situation is not different in the NASDAQ. Very, very strong price structure, momentum, options flow, not far from the all-time high. The Russell is looking decent. In reality, didn't move much today. Bitcoin, aka digital gold, having a little bit of a bounce, a higher low, but really hasn't made a higher high. But you know what's really going is actual gold. Dingity ding ding ding, winner winner chicken dinner, brand new all-time high. So I guess all that really needs to happen for all of us to have enough money so we could actually retire is the government just needs to officially shut down. Obviously, I'm joking. Well, I'm joking a little bit, but I want to dive to what's going on really behind the scene, because this is going to tie not only into the news and what that means for the remainder of the week, but then we had some crazy stuff play out in the market today that didn't relate to that at all. So we're kind of answering questions number 2 and 3 a little bit together. So here's a look at the intraday action of the market. We started out flat, a little up, little down, little up, little down, and then right around 1:30, we ripped to the high heavens. That is true in the SPY, in the Qs. The Russell was very weak, made a full recovery, and then Bitcoin pretty much flat, looking like the SPY and the Qs, and then popping into close. So what in the world went down there? Fortunately for all of you who watched the morning show, well, the handsome devil on the screen right now explained exactly what could have played out and exactly that did play out throughout the day. Give it a listen. This is from this morning's show. At 9:45, the Chicago PMI. 10 a.m., you're getting consumer confidence. 10 a.m., JOLTS job openings. And then at 11 a.m., U.S. President Trump will be speaking. And here it comes. Don't forget that JP Morgan will be rolling their position. If they do it how they did in the past, it's going to be at some point midday. But don't be surprised if at some point in today's trading session, we see gigantic swings in one direction. Historically, it's been a big dip followed by a big rip. I'm not saying that that's how today's going to go. I'm just letting you know how the recent ones have gone. But that's another thing you have to all consider today to wrap up the month of September. Well, what we had there were some pretty bold predictions. Did it play out? Well, you tell me. Did we have a big dip followed by a big rip playing out at midday? Well, good enough for me to try to take advantage of it. And in fact, I'm sitting on a position that's up about $9,000. So almost the easiest $10,000 of my life. Now, obviously that is a live position as I'm filming this. It is not closed out. So maybe it's going to look better tomorrow. Maybe it's going to look a little worse. I'm just letting you know that it's an unrealized position. So let's dive into it. Let's dive into exactly what I was talking about. Every single calendar quarter ending at the end of the appropriate month right here, we're at the end of September, which is going to be the third quarter of the year. JP Morgan has this giant ETF and it makes it so that they have to roll a position. The closest strike, it is a 3-leg position and it's a collar position. But anyway, what you have to know is the closest one right here, they had short calls at 6505. At the start of today, you could see it all the way down here, 6505, 38,000 contracts. This is a above 100th percentile position because it is so incredibly gigantic. They have to roll it because we're at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter. So they have to now roll something for December 31st. So we know that this position had to be unwound and then basically reestablished. And if you look at what happened with price and options flow, well, you could see today, choppy. Looks like starting around 1220, someone started unwinding. Took them about an hour, 15-ish minutes. And then from there, they had to create a new position and the delta just exploded. And obviously price followed exactly. Delta unwind, stop roughly around 130, and then we just exploded to the high heavens. So even though I know there's a lot of craziness and chaos with this government shutdown, this movement was a giant structural play, really because of what we saw played out with the JP Morgan position, and they rolled this. For those of you who are curious where they rolled the new position to, it's obviously the final day of December the 31st, and it looks like here, sell to open 6955 call, buy to open 6290 put, and sell to open 5310 put. So the levels you're really going to care about, most likely because this is, remember, Santa Claus rally, bullish, the overall market's pretty strong. You're going to be wanting to watch 6955. Those are the calls that they sold. And in all reality, that's where they rolled this particular position too. Even though these specific events don't really happen that often, we only get 4 a year, they're very, very predictable because we know the exact prospectus and the details of this ETF from JP Morgan. And obviously it's super easy to track because all of the option data is publicly available. So like I said, it's a very easy money making event, especially if you know what you're looking at. But in reality, it doesn't happen that much. So it's not something that we could play every day. So that's the skinny of what played out today. But also if you're watching this, you're probably a day trader, scalp trader, swing trader. You're probably interested in what's coming down the pipeline, especially with all this government news. A trader's guide to US markets if the government shuts down. Well, I'll give you the real details you need to know. If it is a short-term shutdown and we reach a deal very rapidly, historically, the bulls have dominated. But if it's one of these things that the government shutdown takes longer than the market was anticipating, longer than the economy was anticipating, longer than the public was anticipating, well, that's when we can start to see legitimate hits to the GDP, because remember, the government is a massive client of many businesses. Well, if all of a sudden those dollars aren't flowing, going on longer than we all anticipated, that's when we can see a little bit of those bearish impacts. And just so you know, this isn't doomsday talk. Of course, it could be bullish, it could be bearish, but in terms of will the government shut down, the odds are extraordinary high. Government on track to shut down after midnight with no funding deal in sight. Right now, according to Polymarket, there's an 85% chance that as of midnight tonight, the day that I'm filming this video, we do get a shutdown. According to Kohrs, exact same odds, 85%. And to absolutely no one's surprise whatsoever, each side is blaming the other side. The Democrats are saying it's the Republicans, the Republicans are saying it's the Democrats, and then us, the voters, are here just sitting around thinking, wow, why do we keep electing children to office? Trump threatens a lot of firings as shutdown deadline nears, and then on the other side, Democrats leverage U.S. shutdown to try to dent Trump's dominance. I'm not here to tell you which side is right or wrong. I trust that you're an adult and you could do your own research and stay on top of this among other government political related issues. But as a trader, you might not want to forget the fact that later this week, starting Wednesday, we're supposed to get ADP non-farm employment change. We're supposed to get these manufacturing numbers. We're supposed to get initial jobless claims, and we're supposed to get the non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate. I say supposed to because if the government shuts down, some of those are gonna be in question. Labor Department won't release Friday's key jobs report, other data if government does shut down. So this is all in the balance, which makes the entire situation a little bit suspect, a little bit questionable when you realize at the end of this month, we're supposed to be getting another rate cut, but how can we ask the Fed to do that if they don't have any of the new numbers? So basically, it's another day with another piece of news, and yet it's the same old clown show. At least you could look at the bright side. You now have my skincare routine, Dawn dish soap. It's the way to go. If it's good enough for ducks, it's good enough for you. And also we found out a little bit about why Nancy Pelosi was a little bit of a foul mouth. I guess she didn't play the JPM role properly. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but we're all looking forward to what's coming next. And we're supposed to be getting jobs numbers, but maybe we will, maybe we won't. It all depends on this potential government shutdown. If it doesn't happen, or if it's brief, look for the bulls to win. The longer it lasts, look for the bears to start to show a little bit of their strength. Folks, that's what I have for you. I appreciate all the good vibes. I hope you enjoyed the breakdown. I hope you made a bunch of money today, and I'll catch you in the next update tomorrow. Thanks for the good vibes. Catch you in the next one. Peace.